Hello and welcome to Queering IFS, a podcast by two internal family systems therapists, Alessio and Jude. I'm Alessio Rizzo. I'm an IFS therapist, a clinical consultant for IFS, I'm a trainer and a blogger. And with me we have Jude. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Alessio. Hello, I'm Jude. I'm a Level 3 certified IFS therapist and approved clinical consultant and occasional trainer. And in this podcast, we explore themes and issues connected with gender, sexuality, and neurodiversity through queer and queering lenses.
Hi, Jude.
Hello, Alessio, and welcome everyone to another episode of Queering IFS.
Absolutely. Welcome. Yeah.
So
should we go for the title first and then introduce ourselves?
An introduction, yes, because I'm not going to forget all the details today.
Yes, of course.
Which I definitely am.
But our audience knows that we are queering everything, including how to do podcasts. So
absolutely,
they'll be used to us not being the usual podcasters and do the usual social media.
Yeah, if you stuck around this long, you're okay with it.
Yes, yeah. So today is going to be about adapting IFS to neuroqueer clients.
Yes.
Beautiful topic. But first, introductions. So, shall I go first?
Please.
Shall I? Okay. So, Alessio here. Part of me doesn't want to pronounce my surname because I don't know, because it's Italian and it will be difficult to pronounce for many people. But Alessio will suffice. He, they is pronouns. I'm an IFS therapist with a few titles attached to it, level 3, certified, approved clinical consultant, assistant trainer, podcaster, published author, blogger. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say for for this introduction, this round. What about you, Jude?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm Jude. I am also an IFS psychotherapist, level 3 certified, approved clinical consultant, podcaster, blogger. I'm gender expansive. I use she, they pronouns, neurodivergent, ADHD is what I usually say. And I'll probably leave it there too. That's enough of an intro as well. You can find out more about either of us if you want to by having a look at websites and bios and things. And we will give you the details of those at the end as well.
Yes. And if we forget, they're in the blurb underneath.
Then it might be it will probably be in the show notes.
The show notes.
So this topic today of adapting IFS for neuroqueer clients, so neurodivergent clients, queer clients, neurodivergent clients, I thought of this, Alessio, because I was thinking about how many people find our podcast helpful, who are maybe engaging with IFS, maybe training in IFS, or maybe having their own IFS therapy to have this kind of neurodivergent and queer lens. And I know in some training that we've done together around IFS and ADHD, we've talked about adaptations, but I don't know that we've talked about it explicitly on the podcast. So I thought maybe this could just be a landing point for people to come and just hear about this. Well, first of all, the idea that, IFS is brilliant and we both love it and it's a fantastic model. And sometimes we just need to approach it a little bit differently, depending on, it's a client-first approach. We're sometimes there's bits that we might change or things that might be a little bit different. So maybe us just having a conversation about that might be helpful for some folks.
Yes, beautiful. Well, thank you for proposing this title, Jude. And my sense is that today is going to be the first of more than one we do. Because as I hear you talk, I'm having a few ideas that I want to share. But yeah. Where shall we start?
So I guess maybe, part I have a part that's very interested in what's getting fired up in you, actually, as we're starting this. But also maybe just before that, just to say, I said, we love IFS, and just a recognition that the way that we're IFS, it was Dick Schwartz discovered IFS through working with his clients, and this has been transformed into a teachable model in a really brilliant way. Like the IFS trainings are fantastic. They are deep and they are profound. And the necessity of creating something teachable does require a little bit of pruning, a little bit of simplification. So what we're doing is, I guess we're just kind of it's not kind of bashing the model or saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's just bringing the nuance back in. How does that sound?
Well, yeah, it sounds an important topic because, I speak from my experience as a trainer, someone who is starting to do more and more teaching pieces, and I am collaborating with a group of professionals who's planning the first neurodivergent-friendly level 1 training, and it's always a challenge to adapt something that's been planned and created for neurotypical brains, and in a way reintroduce the nuances and we call them adaptations, we call them, I don't know what other name we want to give them, but in itself it's like it's almost, let me just put it this way. I almost feel the need to go back to before this became a model to be taught, and recreate the teaching of it to the point that it's inclusive.
Yeah.
And this is already getting me somewhere else. And I know that the topic is, adapting to neuroqueer clients, but just a little note on some feedback I'm receiving as I'm teaching on some courses, that neurodivergent participants recognize that it's a different style, that it is, it's not that I've just changed the background color of a slide to make it more dyslexia friendly. It is designed with that in mind. And maybe we can, maybe that's what I want to bring also to therapy, in a way that it almost requires a deconstruction of whatever we do and the recreation of it, including those principles that by default IFS, like all the other therapies that we've been trained in, have not considered. So it's not just an add-on, or it can start as an add-on, but also it's about deconstructing and reconstructing.
I think that's a really important point that you're making. Yeah, it's not just changing the color on a slide. It's fundamental. It's fundamental. These are kind of maybe fundamentally different things, and it links back to the conversations that we've had about self-energy in the past. Is the self clear? Is the self neurodivergent? And we've talked there in other podcasts about how experiences of self-energy might not be the same as the suggestion of what self-energy might feel like that comes from IFS, from training, or from maybe reading about parts or whatever, like books, I find into what the adaptations are. Maybe adaptations isn't the right word. I'm not sure what the right word is, but something that I find working with clients and also working with other IFS therapists through supervision and consultation as well is that people can get kind of tied up in, am I experiencing self-energy at all if I'm not feeling calm? or connected or courageous, you know. So an adaptation that it's not an adaptation of the model, but some of the work I'm often doing with someone at the beginning is saying, hey, that's okay. Let's find out what this actually feels like in your system. There's not a right way to feel self. There's not a right way that self should look. But it's more about, you know, when are you the most you? When are you you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is so key, that we remain as professionals, we remain curious to not impose on other systems what our experience of self-energy is and what we think self-energy should be in others. Right. And, you know, as therapists, we are taught to be a parts detector, which of course we need to be, but also we need to somehow understand the level of self-energy present in us and in the clients. And the risk, if we want to talk about adaptations, is that we judge certain behaviors as parts-led, when actually for particular systems they are self-led.
Completely. Yeah.
So if you want to be more precise, someone with an autistic system then would need some sort of time for cognitive processing.
Right.
And if I start saying, well, that's a thinking part.
Yeah.
I might, then the person might convince themselves that, oh yeah, that's a part, so it's wrong in a way.
Yeah.
And you've already created a mismatch. You're not longer.
Yeah. I'm you know, I'm a verbal processor. I need to talk to make sense. I don't know what I'm going to say until I've said it, and that can be misunderstood as a storytelling part. And then it's like, do we need to ask that part to step back? It's like, well, that's me. That's my process. I'm in flow. That's how I'm making sense of the world. And so it's kind of these are nuances, right? These are the, you know, what you're taught versus what your system is actually like, and what your client system is actually like. And not making those assumptions, or not being I'm imagining like holding this kind of sheet of how to do IFS, not kind of being rigidly attached to that as this kind of like, well, that could be that's a part. It's more, could that be a part? Because when we lose the curiosity, that's when we're going to lose our clients and lose our understanding of them. Yeah.
It's about that connection and attunement to what's going on in this person in front of me.
So it's about the importance of the relationality. So, you know, the therapeutic relationship as the container. So, and that's a really important point. Yes. I'm, funnily enough, doing it out loud right now. So, you know, for my system and for some other systems that I work with, the idea that we just go straight into insight, that, well, there's so much here. There's so many things, that we have a target part, that it's easy enough to have a target part, and that might be that then we might have consistency over a series of sessions. So there's something. And then the idea that we might be able to just go straight inside. A lot of clients, a lot of neuroqueer clients are going to have had some unhelpful or damaging experiences with other people. They're going to have parts that are on guard, for example, or they might need to tell a bit of the story first. So we need to be working with the individual that's there with us, not this idea of like, well, we're doing IFS, so it must look like this. So you need to close your eyes and go inside now and go find your parts, and then we'll talk about them. That doesn't work for everybody. So the recognition that that's okay, that that's still doing IFS, even if it doesn't look like a demo or a training.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing are therapist parts that want to follow the protocol and want
Yeah.
the client system to go exactly through those steps.
Yeah.
And therefore, if the target part isn't being found and the client system is fine, but the therapist system isn't fine with that, then it's almost like a therapist problem rather than a client problem.
Yeah. And it might be that clients have also you might have a therapist trying to do it right. You might also have a client trying to do it right, trying to do
Also, yes,
IFS in the way that they think they should be. So you
true.
might have two systems that are trying to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think how big this is for people with neurodivergence who are processing information and have been taught things in ways that are never really matching, that required a lot of access fatigue. I think we talked about that, right? So I'm neurodivergent, my client is neurodivergent, and the way I'm presenting the model to someone might cause a lot of access fatigue. And systems who have been marginalized, neurodivergent systems, might be so quick at understanding the right and wrong thing to do. And even if it's not explicitly said by the therapist, this fact that there isn't a target part coming out straight away and you don't close your eyes and go inside, is systems can feel it, can need it, can see it straight away.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a lot. Jude.
Yeah. It is a lot. And that's okay. We don't have to get it all in this one today. But yeah, what I wanted to do was just sow the seed for people who might be listening that look, it's okay if the way that you are experiencing the way that you experience your system is different to the way that IFS is written about. It's okay as a therapist if you're finding that your work with your clients doesn't look the same as what you might have learned. It's okay as a client if you're feeling like, oh, it doesn't look like that for me, or closing my eyes is actually really overwhelming and disorienting and I prefer to keep them open, or I just feel like I've got so many parts and I don't know where to start. It's not a problem to be fixed. And there are so many ways that we can adapt to meet our clients.
And I'll go back to what you said earlier, Jude, about that connection, that therapeutic relationship as the container. That to me trumps everything else, whether then you do 1 minute of IFS or 60 minutes of IFS. If you are creating that connection, then through the attunement, you might do something that doesn't land well, then you adjust it and you listen and follow the client. What I also want to say is that IFS takes time, at least for me, took quite a lot of time. And I'm talking about at least 2 years of therapy and supervision before I learned the model. So there is I think there are almost two trains going on at the same time. One is learning the model and the steps and understanding them and feeling confident on each of them. And then there is the fact that you never really get these exact steps presented to you enough times for you to learn them. And sometimes there might be a mix up between, someone might have parts because, oh, I've got a neurodivergent client. How do I need to adapt? You're still in that part of you who wants to do it right, who wants to follow the protocol, and to give time, maybe with a peer, maybe with supervision. I mean, I would say the best way I've used to learn the model is to meet with other people who are on my training, trying these questions on each other and give us feedback. Because otherwise doing it with clients, it can be difficult straight away. So almost separating the training piece to then meeting the client and adapting it to whoever is in front of you.
No, I agree. And I think it's one of the commonest bits of advice that I give to people I'm working with who are doing a level 1 or have completed a level 1 IFS is practice with people.
Yes.
Work out your, how is that for you? How did that land? And work out, also how do you embody IFS as a therapist as well? And so I guess there's another adaptation there. It's like there isn't a one way. There is no one way to do this. It's not a manualized therapy. Yes, we have a flow of the model. Yes, we know this step is important. It's important that these steps come before this step. But what that looks like in real life is, it's dependent on you and your client. And everybody's system is so dynamic and so multifaceted that it never looks the same twice. I've worked, some of the deepest work that I've done with some clients. I could think of a client where we did incredible work, and they never went inside. They never closed their eyes.
Yeah.
They were connecting with the parts in the way that made sense for them. And if I'd tried to enforce a model on them, I would have been in the way.
Yes. So in a way, we're inviting people to be self-led as they meet other people's system. And that's different from learning the model, where you might want to pause, get it wrong, and you might want to select or find places where you can learn it, learn the steps. But then, I think, and I know we need to come to an end for this one, but I think this discussion is big because it cannot be reduced to a checklist of adaptations for a specific diagnosis, because the adaptations need to come through the encounter with the person. They need to be self-led and therefore unpredictable. At the same time, if you've learned them, if you've met enough of these systems, then that can inform your choices.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I'm just thinking, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, our systems are complex. Our relationship with others is complex. Clients will be coming to you with a history of maybe other therapies that they've had, or maybe other experiences that they've had. So we're always going to have a combination of parts and neurology and interconnectedness with our therapists. And all of these things are dynamic. All of these things are individual. And yeah, absolutely agreeing with you, Alessio. There's something about, I guess, the seed from today that I really wanted to sow was that IFS can and does look different with different populations, with different people, with different connections, with different attachments. And that's okay. And I'm just trying to, I'm just, pausing a minute to think, is there anything that I really wanted to say today that we haven't said? And maybe if there's anything you want to say while I'm pausing as well. Oh, I suppose the other thing I was thinking about was sometimes an adaptation that feels really important actually is sometimes IFS can be taken on board by therapists and clients as it's this linear process where we're going from here, managers, we're going all the way to exiles, and we're unburdening, and that's the only thing that matters. And actually, I just really want, this is really important to say, I really want to give a big shout out for all parts of a system, not just as protectors that need to be moved out of the way, but valuable, valid, live parts of a system that are that matter as much as each other and as anything. And the goal, when we're on this kind of goal-oriented, like get to the exercise thing, I think it does such a disservice to the rest of the system, that feels really important to name that actually all parts are valid, all parts are welcome, and working with protectors is just as valuable as working with exile. Yes, that was the important point I wanted to say. One of them. There's so many more.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a big discussion that we started here. Yeah.
So this does feel like a to be continued, and maybe this is I'm sure it will flow through the rest of our conversations. Is there anything for you, Alessio, before we wrap up? Anything that's kind of left unsaid or there for you? I've said my final piece, I think, with that one about parts.
Well, for me, if I just want to kind of ground one piece, is this idea of being self-led in what we're calling adaptation, and to make it, to give yourself, to whoever is listening, a lot of grace to allow first your thinking part, the ones that want to know the model, to learn it before asking yourself to making changes and switches, because you want to have it, the protocol is important, you want to have it learned first, or maybe for you it isn't important, but just for you, not for you, Jude, but find first your way to learn the model in a way that makes sense to you before thinking of changing, adapting, because otherwise, if you try to do it all at once, you kind of end up wanting to learn every possible trick. And I don't think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about you meeting the person where they are.
Yeah. And it's the point that you made earlier. It took you 2 years to really learn the model, from learning the model, from doing the training to really learning it. And that's exactly, so it's giving understanding and space to that as well. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll pause there for today. To be continued.
To be continued.
And if this podcast has resonated with you and you've enjoyed it, please do like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your colleagues. That would be fantastic to keep spreading the word. And Alessio, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to?
Yes, thank you, Jude. Mainly through my website, therapywithalessio.com, where they will find my blogs, my articles, and I think I've got some meditations there. Just a lot of offerings really on IFS, plus all the events and workshops that I offer from time to time. What about you, Jude? How do we contact you?
So you can get in touch with me through my website, which is anchoredinself.co.uk, where I have various offerings as well. Or you can follow me on Instagram, @anchored_in_self, where I tend to share various updates and things that I'm doing as well.
Beautiful.
Lovely. And if this conversation sparked any interest or curiosity in you, then get in touch.
Please. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So until next time, thank you and goodbye.